Hello and welcome to episode number 10 of Prosperity by the Pine. I'm your host, Brice Carter, certified financial planner, chartered financial consultant, investment management analyst, and self-proclaimed millennial money expert. This is the podcast where we talk about money, investing, business, and life success, all while having a cold beer. I am super excited today. I have a very special guest, Dr. Nicole Wax, who is an absolute badass. She is a very successful businesswoman as well as a orthodontist. And she's going to be talking to us today about how she got started, how she found her passion, which is orthodontics, but also being a business owner. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. And today we are drinking, we're going to see how this goes. It's Keweenaw Brewing Company, Red Jacket Amber Ale. I think this is a Northern Michigan beer from the Keweenaw Peninsula. So let's see.
Cold beer and hot tea.
There we go. Nothing like a cold.
What a combo.
Yeah, nothing like a cold beer in the morning with some hot tea and a little bit of business talk.
Usually your podcasts are later on, right?
Yes. So usually I do the evening, so that way I'm sharp for my work day. But we're just having one, so this is gonna be fine.
It'll be fine. Yeah.
So I wanted to start with you, I guess, on where the business is now and what took you to where you are now, and how this all going. So start with where things are at right now.
We're booming. So we've been blessed to be a popular choice for orthodontics. People travel, for an hour to come see us. Why do they do that? Well, they hear about us. They hear that we do things differently. Mm-hmm. And I'd love to talk a little bit about how we do things differently. But business is really, really good. Okay. I have an amazing team. I focus on, team growth, and it couldn't be going better at less than 5 years in. We're at 4.5 years in.
Oh, wow. That I had assumed it's a lot. We were trying to look this up. I had assumed it had been a lot longer than that because your name and presence has been around, which is marketing brilliance, but we'll get to that in a minute. So are you the only doctor in the office?
I'm 100% owner and the only doctor.
Okay. But you have a pretty good sized team, right?
Yeah,
so
we have about 20
people. Mm-hmm. Okay. So break that down for me, I guess, as to the number of people that are working on the business and people that are working on the business of orthodontics.
Great question. So I have maybe 8 assistants, clinical assistants,
okay,
that are working with the patient side by side with me.
Yeah.
I have maybe 4, 5, 6 front office team,
okay,
answering phones, insurance stuff, things like that. I have a financial coordinator, 2 treatment coordinators. So when you come in and we go over what treatment's needed, all your financial options, Invisalign versus braces, all of that stuff. There's 2 girls that work side by side with me to help explain all of that with the patients.
Okay.
My mom just joined full time.
Oh, that's fun.
And she's also a badass, which I never knew until I'm,
Yeah.
now an adult. Hard worker. So I'm really blessed to have her as kind of a more higher management level.
Fantastic.
And on the marketing side, which I know you're very interested probably to find out, there is 1 full-time girl that works with me.
Okay. And
I've had pretty much for the last 2 or 3 years, 1 full-time person working with me.
Okay.
Everything I want to do, everything I do, we accomplish together. All the other 100 ideas I have, I probably need to hire more to accomplish it in the timely fashion that I want to. And then I do have more recently a camera crew and things like that are now my go-to for that.
So that's something like contractors that you're doing. Okay. So one of the themes on the podcast, and I want to get to your backstory in a minute, but just real quick, roughly how many patients are you seeing a year, and what's that translate into for orthodontics? Because this isn't a business that's there's not one on every corner, so it's not common knowledge. Like this is how many patients people are typically seeing and that kind of thing.
Well, we happen to be one of the largest single office, single doctor practices in Michigan.
Congratulations.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm very proud of that because we work hard. I couldn't put a pinch more work, effort into what we're doing, and same with my team. So we are seeing a lot of patients, probably more than the average, but that's why my team's so big to accommodate that.
Okay.
We've just expanded, things like that. So lots of patients.
Okay. So that's the question. That's the answer. Lots.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the themes on the podcast is, finding your passion and achieving that and going after that goal. And one of the things that I talk about often is how college is probably not necessary for a lot of people, especially those with an entrepreneurial spirit, because, for a lot of things you don't need it. Obviously, science, technology, medicine, engineering, you need those things. So you needed that for your profession, right? But for some of the marketing stuff, I mean, I guess just talk me through your progression. You went to school and then you got out and you found this niche in marketing, right? So when did you end up finding out that you were a business owner in addition to being a doctor?
So it was pretty interesting because my whole life up until 4.5 years ago, I had one goal: become an orthodontist.
So when did that start, though? Was that, I mean, were you a little girl and wanted to be a...
I had braces when I was 13. Mm-hmm. Before I had braces, I did enjoy going to the dentist. General dentist.
Did enjoy it.
Loved it.
Oh,
I would watch. I would ask, what's that tool? Oh, what are you doing with it?
We're working with a sociopath here.
Right. Totally strange. Totally strange. So I thought I wanted to be a dentist.
Yeah.
Okay. But then I had braces and I had lots of crowding, needed teeth pulled, things like that. So it made a big change in my life and in my confidence, in teenager years. So that changed into, I want to be an orthodontist at that point. Now, before I went to college, I did sit and I remember, and I kind of have a bad memory, or not a bad memory. I don't remember all the details of, when I was growing up, but this is something that is very clear in my mind. I'm sitting at the kitchen table where my mom still lives in Fenton. And I had a paper and pencil. That's when we used, number 2 pencils. And I wrote down, well, what are all the things I'd be interested in? Mm-hmm. I have orthodontics in my mind. Yeah. Wrote that down. I'd love to be a 3rd grade teacher because I have a fond memory of, 3rd grade, and I love children. I always have. Interior design. I like design. Wrote all these things down and ultimately chose orthodontics. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything. Mm-hmm. So I went to college knowing that's, that was my path. Which was good that I knew that because I had to work so hard. Yeah. I'm like naturally a B+ student. Yeah. You have to be an A+ student too.
That's probably why you're a really good business owner. Sometimes, no offense to anybody that gets straight A's, but it can be tough because it involves, A's involve thinking in the box, and owning a business involves thinking out of the box.
Absolutely.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good. Yeah. So I had that work ethic. Yeah. It was, I want to go out and hang out with my friends in college, right? Yeah. And I did that a little bit. My motto in college was work hard, play hard. Right. Now it's simply work hard. But anyways, so got through all of that, 11 years of school. Yeah. Wow. Did you do all your schooling in Michigan? Michigan State, then Ohio State for dental school.
Boo.
Had to be top of my class in dental school. And I'm surrounded by 100 of the smartest people I had ever met. Yeah. And they even told me, you are the hardest worker that they'd ever met.
That's grit.
Yeah. So anyways, then came back to Detroit Mercy for residency. Okay. So opened my business late 2014.
Okay. So this is where I not that I'm not excited about school, but this is where I'm excited because you open a business. How did you get this going? I mean, you didn't just rent a building, hang up a sign, and then I hope people started walking in needing, corrections on their teeth, right? Yeah. I mean, how'd you get it going and off the ground and everything?
Well, first of all, I did demographic studies.
Okay.
And just to see what it would come back with.
Did you do that internally? You hire somebody else?
I hired somebody, and I don't remember the company. Okay. I've tried to find it since to actually see the data. But what I do remember, red X's on everything. Mean household income, population, surrounding orthodontists. It all was against having a successful orthodontic practice.
Here in Linden, Fenton, Michigan area.
In Linden, yes. So I said, okay, well, my heart's there. That's where my family is. That's where I grew up. I'm going to do it anyway. It'll be a small boutique, little cute practice, which I was fine with. I'll work elsewhere and everything will be good. But because I knew what my obstacles were, they were written on paper. I could start planning how to overcome each obstacle. Okay.
So what were those obstacles, and what were your steps there? And when you opened shop, how'd you start getting your first patients coming in?
Well, I mean, one of the obstacles was that there wasn't a lot of patients or, in the area or people, right? Population was kind of low in Linden. And there's a lot of other orthodontists.
For those listening all over, I mean, Linden's a cute little town. It's semi-rural, though. Mm-hmm. I mean, the nearest big town would be probably Ann Arbor, which is 40 minutes south. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I said, well, there's not a lot of people that can choose me, so I better make sure all of them know my name so that, not that they necessarily choose me for orthodontics, but I'm considered. Yeah. So I would go around. I did what I could at that time. I had PowerPoint, and I made a PowerPoint presentation, and I printed it out on my home computer or on my home printer. And if I went and got pizza somewhere, I'd walk in, I'd bring my little packet of papers. I'd say, hey, I'm Nicole Wax. I'm an orthodontist. I'm going to be opening up in Linden. Here's some information about me. Here's a coupon. Yeah. Everywhere I went, I had that with me, and I would introduce myself.
Okay. So, I mean, you really started at kind of a grassroots. I mean, you weren't going big right away. You were just trying to get your name in the community and build relationships and just make it, when it was going to happen, they were going to choose you because you were the one there and you were the one that met them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Chamber was also, I got involved with the chamber.
Yeah.
I went to the networkings. I joined the board. It was a lot of relationship building, which naturally for me, that came natural to me. Mm-hmm. I don't have a family yet. Can't wait to have lots of kids. So the community to me at that time and this time in my life was my family, my extended family. Yeah.
So were these tough years? I mean, the first year, 6 months, 18 months, was that hard? I mean, were you struggling?
Yeah, I thought I couldn't be more stressed or busier than I was in school. Yeah. That was not, that wasn't anything compared to owning a business. And owning a business that you want to be the best at what you do.
So was it, was there financial stress at the time and in addition to just trying to make sure that your employees, I don't know how many employees you had when you first started going, were taken care of in addition to just the fear of failing? I mean, was it all of the three? What was the main stressor at the time?
I never worry about failing because if, start in your path, if you got to change gears, that's fine. Yeah. Just switch it up. So there was a lot of qualified people that I could have potentially worked with, but they came with a high, hourly. And I didn't need an office manager. I didn't even need somebody with experience because we were going to be starting with 1 patient, 2 patients. Yeah. So I hired my niece actually. Okay. And it was me and her. Mm-hmm. And we worked together and learned together. And so paying staff wasn't really a big thing at that time. I don't stress about finances either because I have a unique perspective on financing. Mm-hmm. I'm all debt. Okay. I paid for all my school. I have hundreds and hundreds of $1,000s in debt from school. Yeah. So I started at negative. Yeah. I'm in my 30s. I didn't know what money. I've never had money. Yeah. So I didn't need it. I lived very, very basic.
Frugally.
Yep.
Responsible.
Yes. And where else? What else did you ask?
Stresses. What the main stresses were. Because, I think, and it may be, even for me, I never talk about my story on the podcast. I want to talk about other people's stories. But I sometimes forget, and my wife sometimes have to remind me when I come home early on a day and I feel like shit about it, is all the days that I missed where I was driving home at 9 p.m. and I was in the middle of the summer and, all my friends were out doing something and I'm driving by people sitting on their porch sipping lemonade or beers and I forget about those years. Have you started to maybe just, reach a point where you're like, wow, this is really rolling and, it's not so hard anymore? I mean, because you have a work ethic, so you're still going to be pushing yourself. I understand that, but I guess just talk about that a little bit.
That's interesting. And I think what you're talking about is balance. Yeah. And I don't have balance right now. And I think any newer business owner really is going to be, I describe it as a teeter-totter.
If you don't have balance, if you have balance, you're probably not going to make it.
Exactly. Yeah. Whatever you give your time, your attention, your energy to the most is going to survive. So if that's business, that's going to thrive. If it's family, then your family's going to thrive. Yeah. If you have both, which most of us do, you have to continuously shift the balance day to day, week to week, month to month. Because if you ignore one for too long, it will suffer. Yeah. So when it comes to balance, I'm like you. If I take a half day off and I'm lounging.
Oh, I don't feel guilty about it anymore.
Oh, I do. I do still. And I pride myself in how much I can get done in a day. Yeah. But then you're exhausted, so I'm still working on that part.
My perspective changed a lot on that after my daughter was born. Okay. So you get, I have a 14-month-old and if I'm not home before 6, she's in bed because she refuses to nap. So, so some days I don't get to see her, which is heartbreaking, but it changes your perspective as those kind of things go. Do you wish you would have did anything different in the beginning? Because most people that I think of, I have some chiropractic clients, some DDSs, some MDs, and most of them go and work under somebody in the beginning years. I don't have any orthodontic clients, but you guys are a rare breed, right? So, do you wish you would have done that or done any different steps at the beginning?
I honestly don't have any regrets. Okay. I really don't. And I did work with somebody else. Okay. When I came out of school, I opened my practice. And I worked at 2 other offices.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Yeah. So I was seeing patients, and at that time, they could schedule whenever they wanted. Oh, because I'm all about convenience. And now they can't schedule whenever they want, but we still really focus on convenience, which is why we're open on Saturdays, things like that, right? So, I would, was working at 3 offices, including my own. Okay. I soon dropped one off, and then it was me and another for 3.5 years. I did that.
Oh, wow. So you were, I mean, were you an employee there, or did you
Yep,
have
I was
equity?
an employee.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's how you were paying the bills, as you were getting this thing off the ground, is you're kind of paying your dues?
I knew that was
yeah.
coming in. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So was that before, or did you start with somebody else before you opened your own practice for a little while? I mean, were you like a couple months with somebody, and then you're like, I'm going to open my own practice in addition, or?
My practice started really when I was still in residency at Detroit Mercy. I was rehabbing the building and learning all of that because I had never experienced working with contractors.
Yeah, you own your building in Linden, right?
I don't. I lease. Most everyone thinks I own it.
Okay.
I lease.
But you're doing a development, right?
Yeah. So, hopefully within the next year or so, that will be done. Yeah. It's right across the street.
So for those that are not local that are listening, there's this beautiful building going in Linden, and it's Dr. Wax has been working diligently on that, and it's kind of I don't want to say facelift because Linden doesn't really need a facelift. But
well, it's replacing the building, the old Union Block, the historical Union Block that built down 10 years ago.
Yeah, and so there's it's and you're going to be leasing how many units to various?
3 to 4 depending on the size that the tenant wants.
Okay, so it's going to be you and 3 or 4 other units in there. Very, very beautiful looking spot. So really kind of, that's interesting. So did you get into that as an investment, or talk about that a little bit?
Okay, so
it is an investing podcast a little bit.
Yes, that's true. Well, then I'm probably your worst guest because that no one would develop that property, which is why it sat vacant for, now 10, 11, 12 years. It costs, it's not really an investment property.
Okay.
So I saw that when I was still in school, and I talked to the banks and I said, my vision would be, and I had a, image in my head. I want to put my practice right on that corner there.
Yeah.
They said, well, why don't you find a different spot, work there, gain some patience and some traction, and then make that a longer term goal. So about a year after practice, I bought the property just to hold it, not knowing what I was getting myself into.
So the banks initially said no. And it was probably a few no's.
I only really talked to one.
Okay. So, so it wasn't an investment property. So, I mean, was it out of necessity because the practice is growing? You wanted to stay in Linden and there's no other spot, essentially?
That's true.
Okay.
That is true.
Yeah, I was wondering that. I'm thinking 20 people, and I'm looking at the sizes, your current office and the building coming in. I'm like, that's got to be a necessity at this point.
Absolutely. But it's also, I am very focused on community. I love community. I love making a positive change and impact in the community. So, it fits perfect with my mission for my business and me personally.
So I guess talk to me about, because I have a slight concern for you that at some point you're going to need the other tenant spaces as the business continues to grow. So talk to me about the vision, longer term with where do you see Wax Orthodontics 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and 30 years from now, and you personally?
So I'll be on the second floor of the building that we're building.
Okay.
With more space than I have now.
Yeah.
So 3,600 square feet is what I'll have.
Yeah.
Right now, we just actually expanded a couple months ago into 3,000 square feet.
Okay.
And that was out of necessity.
Yeah.
I couldn't even wait a year. We had to expand in the meantime. So there's other space on that second floor that if I needed to eventually grow into, I doubt I'll need more than 36. You can accomplish a lot in 3,600 square feet.
Dream big.
But there will be space if I had to.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, it is a great possibility that I'll have more than one office.
Okay.
And that I'll be able to impact other small towns.
So is that something that you've already started to think and plan out, or is that just a longer term vision?
Oh, I'm always thinking and
planning. Because usually when somebody says, we're thinking we might have another office, they already got a town, a building, and something picked out.
Right?
It's just a matter of making the money work, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have lots of towns that I would love to be in.
Okay.
And I do love the small towns like Linden. Yeah. That's where my heart is, where my efforts can make a big difference for the people there.
Right.
I'm not going to make a big difference in a big town with other people do, so that's why I feel like I was an underdog growing up, and so I like to help other underdogs. Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about marketing at the end, because so Dr. Wax has roughly 6,000 followers on Facebook, 500 reviews on Facebook, 400 and something reviews on Google, all 5-star stuff. And that sounds more like a trendy, new, hip restaurant than it does an orthodontics office. So I want to talk about your marketing aspects of that. But I want to talk about, for a second, I think I was trying to look up statistics on this, and I couldn't find anything really recent, but something like 30% of women are in the dentist and orthodontics fields. So, you're in a male-dominated industry. Has that caused any challenges for you, or has it opened up niche?
So when I graduated, it's about 50-50 now in the graduating classes.
Okay.
So
much
the
better.
older
Yeah.
population, are more male dominated. So I've never thought about gender ever.
Okay.
But I am in some women groups and women only orthodontic groups, and gender comes up a lot.
Yeah.
And I do see that there can be challenges being a woman. I don't feel it. I feel like I'm
Good.
hardworking and I can accomplish whatever I want to accomplish, whether I'm male or female.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. But one thing that I like to see is women entrepreneurs, particularly young. This is I'm a millennial. You're a millennial too, and I don't see as many millennial women entrepreneurs as I'd like to, because there's so many women out there that are so creative, and I want them to take the leap. Right? A lot of men are too, right? Take the leap, right? You can do it. And you're an example of, you were an underdog and came from a small town and graduated top of your class. Unfortunately, it was Ohio State, but we'll forgive you and are just a boss. So real quick though, beer, what do you think? Any thoughts so
I haven't
far?
even tried it. Cheers.
Cheers. So the only time I ever really get to finish the beer on the podcast is when I have a guest, because I'm too busy talking. So I understand. And I'm engaged in listening to you, so I might not even finish it. What do you think?
It's good.
Okay.
I like it.
It's not bad. I mean, it's an amber ale. It's typically not my favorite. This is a good, I feel like a good steak beer. Like you could, eat a steak with it, nice and medium rare, poke it in mousse kind of thing. But
I rarely drink beer and I know nothing about it, so I'll take your word for it.
You take my word for it. Okay. I did offer to make it vodka on the show for you, but that might be
I
early.
appreciate that.
So let's get into the marketing aspect of it. Actually, I want to know, before we get to the marketing, because that's a big part of this, is your like CEO IQ is what I like to call it, your business owner IQ. How did you develop that? Because I know personally that a lot of my, doctor clients and science clients and technology clients, they don't get a single class in personal finance, investing, or running the actual damn business.
Yeah, so I have people ask me that if I have a business degree, a marketing degree, did I take classes?
Yeah.
0 business classes, 0 finance classes, 0 marketing classes.
Okay.
All science.
So you didn't learn
and
any
teeth.
bad lessons then?
Right. I guess not.
Yeah.
So how did I learn? I ask people much smarter than me.
That's a theme. We had our last guest talk about that too. Yeah. Find the people that are doing it right and ask them how to do it.
Absolutely. And I listen to podcasts every single morning. I get
wow.
at least one podcast in, because it's an hour while I'm,
What's
doing
your
my hair.
favorite podcast?
Entree Leadership.
I thought you were going to say this one, but okay.
Well, I mean, I have been watching yours too.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. So
One loyal follower right here.
Yeah.
So you listening to podcasts, asking smarter people. So talk about the development of those skills and how that all went. I mean, you didn't do it right away. You didn't know it right away. So talk about the progression.
It's still progressing. So I have a lot of stuff in my mind, and sometimes when it comes out, I say, "Oh, that's not how it sounded in my mind," and I hope she didn't take that the wrong way. And I'm also a very quick mover, quick talker, quick mover. But when you have a team that have feelings and things like that, you do have to take that into account. So I'm constantly learning how to be the best leader I can be.
Yeah.
Because if you're not a good leader, you're not going to have a team to follow you in your vision and your mission. So that's where I spend a lot of my time learning.
So do you build a lot of your team around your weaknesses?
I hire for work ethic and heart.
Okay.
And I'm the last step of the hiring process. My office manager does a phone call. If she likes you over the phone, then she's going to meet you. Then you're going to meet the rest of the team on a different day.
But you didn't start out that way, right? Because you had to do everything.
Right.
So
exactly.
Were you good at hiring? I mean, was it a natural skill for you?
No, I'm horrible at interviewing.
My dad, who started our business 30 years ago, is the worst person at hiring and firing. I mean, somebody could literally just never show up, and once they finally showed up, he'd tell them, "You really got to come to work, or else I'm going to have to ask you nicely to not come anymore." It's like he was awful at it until he got my sister to start doing the business management side of it. Is hiring and firing is a skill.
Absolutely. And I don't like to hurt people's feelings. I'm very sensitive myself.
Me too.
And I don't want to hurt anyone's feeling, because I know, they have qualities, whether they match our practice and our goals or not. And I don't fire anymore. Okay. Because I still want to be their friend when they leave, and we always are. I mean, we've had people that left for different visions and they've come back. Wow. And,
that's great. That's a sign of a great culture. So talk to me about some of the marketing stuff that you're doing. I know I see a lot of your stuff on Facebook, social media stuff. You're doing a charitable event annually, in which I'd love for you to give a plug to your, improve a smile, improve a life.
Oh, yeah.
Change a life, change a smile, change a life.
You are good. He
Yeah.
doesn't even have notes, by the way. So you are you have a good memory.
Sometimes I'm lucky. So to talk a little bit about that, and then I think you won a award for one of your billboards, right?
Yes.
Because I very vividly remember it, and it just pops. So just talk about some of the stuff that you got going on and how you came up with it.
So again, I didn't think about anything business or marketing wise until I opened my practice.
Right.
And then my mind just started to explode with ideas. And I can be listening to something totally unrelated to my field or dentistry or anything like that, and they say something, and then I twist it, and I'm like, oh, that'd be awesome for us.
Yeah.
So it is a bit of a natural ability. But you mentioned change your smile, change a life.
Yeah.
Okay. So as we've progressed, I didn't have that day one.
Yeah.
But what I found is my heart is with community and making a difference.
Tell real quick about what that is.
So what that is a portion of every single treatment fee is donated back to a local school, charity, or organization.
Okay.
And we were already doing that. We've done that since day one.
Yeah.
We never totaled it up though.
Yeah.
So the last 2 years we totaled it up. How much are we donating? I mean, people might want to know that.
Right.
I want to know that. Last year, 2018, we donated $57,000 back to our local community.
Oh, wow.
All from our one office in Linden.
And so this money goes towards orthodontic care for somebody that has a need, or what's it go to?
Unrelated to orthodontics.
Oh, wow.
The money comes from orthodontics
Yeah.
and the patients that choose us, but it might be a school teacher that needs help with supplies in their classroom. It might be we just gave to a local charity, very small local charity that helps feed families on the weekend.
So it's a variety of really community. Okay, I thought it was something to do with somebody that can't maybe afford the or doesn't have the insurance to cover fixing the problem, helping them and instilling confidence.
We do that too.
Okay,
but this program really is if you change your smile, you're going to change somebody else's life.
Yeah. Fantastic. So that's obviously a huge one for you, but I don't know that you get a tremendous amount of business from that, but you get a tremendous amount of community goodwill, which in turn, you do the right thing and it starts to come out, right? So some of the other marketing stuff you got going on.
So you mentioned billboard, and this was a few years ago.
Okay.
We had a really cool billboard. It was it was just unique. It was eye-catching.
It just popped.
Which one do you remember?
It was a black drop back, and it had a smile with bright red lips.
Okay.
And white lettering that just all it said, I think, was Dr. Wax or something like that. Dr. Wax Orthodontics.
Yeah. So the face was kind of faded out.
Yeah.
And the lips just popped, and the smile just popped.
Yeah. And it caught your eye. Yeah.
So the billboard company actually won an award for that.
Okay.
And we were honored that our design and that image came from my brain.
So they got the award, but it was all your idea.
That's okay. No, I mean, it's collaboration. I love it. They made it happen. So I've since also won an award at that same advertising award. It's the Addies in Flint. And that was for all of our community involvement. And let me tell you, when you're just in the grind day to day for your business, your patients, and other people in other fields and industries notice, like yourself, it makes me, I just feel honored, honestly.
Well, I'm glad you do. I can appreciate really good and creative marketing. And so that's one thing, but you have a tremendous. Like I said, your social media stats sound like a new hip restaurant, right? They don't sound like an orthodontics office. So how did you build that engagement? And 4.5 years, 6,000 followers, 500 reviews. Holy shit, that's good stuff, right? How'd you do it?
So if you have a business and